Hello guys, thanks for joining me. I thought I'd share some photographs today. These were part of my father's estate and they passed to me. These were taken before I was born. My father was a very junior soldier. He was just beginning his army career, and at the time he was stationed in Germany. And I've got his army records here so I can actually identify where he was stationed. So these are his stations, his army stations between February 1959 and 1966. And he started off in Fort Jackson in South Carolina. But in June of 1959, he was transferred to the 75th Artillery Regiment in Germany, in Ansbach. And he stayed in Germany up until February 1961. After that, he returned back to South Carolina and afterwards to Kansas. Anyhow, I just covered up the personal details here. But anyhow, the photographs that I've got here were all taken during the winter of 1959 and 1960 while he was stationed at Ansbach. Ansbach is near Nuremberg. And my father was a truck driver, and he was also beginning his mechanic career with the army. And he was stationed with C Battery, as I said, 75th Artillery Regiment. And I thought you might be interested to have a little look at a pile of photographs displaying the equipment used back in the early days of the U.S. Army in Germany. As I say, these were taken many years, or several years before I was born, so it's quite an interesting look at the U.S. Army in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Anyhow, we'll just have a quick look through the pile of photographs. Right, I'll just go over the photographs real quickly. Some of them are not very interesting. That's the castle in Nuremberg. As I say, he was stationed near Nuremberg. And that's the Soldiers' Field, where the big Nazi Party rallies were held. That's a picture of my father. And he would have been in his early 20s then. And he's looking quite relaxed there, sitting somewhere. Writing a letter home, no doubt. That's him in his Class A uniform and raincoat. He was already had a stripe. As I say, these were taken, by the looks of it, during the winter between 1959 and 60, and that would have been on in the army base at Ansbach. That's him in his barracks. Again with his Class A uniform. That's him sitting on his box in his barracks with the Coca-Cola calendar on the wall there, wearing his M1 helmet. You can see he has the 7th Army patch on his shoulder there, 7 steps to hell. Oh, I think that must have been the barracks. And these must have been taken from his barrack room window. Again, at ease in his barracks with a radio. And we've got some of the buildings in the barracks there. That's the movie cinema over there by the looks of things. So you can see the snow on the ground, very cold in Germany in the wintertime. And as usual, the US Army took over a lot of the German Wehrmacht army bases after the war. So this looks like it used to belong to the German Wehrmacht. You can see the dependent housing in the back. Again, more pictures of the actual barracks. And we've got the Ansbach Service Club that has U.S. Army Ansbach Service Club. And on the side here it says U.S. Army Special Services Craft Shop Photo Center. And that's the headquarter building. So as I said, my father was part of the 75th Artillery, and he was part of the Howitzer Battalion. and that's the headquarter buildings as it would have been at the time. I'm guessing this would have been the barracks that he was living in at the time. Got a train station. These pictures are not in order, so we got C Battery. As I say, he was part of C Battery. And that's my father there. And that's a M88 recovery vehicle. That's quite a nice picture here. So as I say, my father was a mechanic, so he did a lot of the mechanical repairs on the vehicle. So as I say, that's the M88 recovery vehicle there. They were used to hauling out tank engines and the like, and that kind of duties. So he's having some fun there. And these are the M52 howitzers. They were replaced in the 1960s by the 109, so I don't remember these. These went out of use by the late 60s, I think, mid-60s. But anyhow, they were 105mm self-propelled howitzers. And that's the back of them there. So that's the motor pool area here. So that's ACE unit. So some nice photographs here of the howitzers as they were on the base. Again, here's another picture of my father. That is not a 113 armored personnel carrier. That's the one that came out before that. This is actually a M59 APC. So you got the big white stars. The big white stars were replaced by smaller black stars in the late 60s, early 70s. So you got a row of M59s there. And again, my father, and that is a M48 main battle tank, the one that was just before the M60 tanks. Got transporters there. So that's him sitting on the 105mm barrel of a M52 howitzer. And this must have been taken at a forward base. He's marked on the border there, and that would have been the border with Czechoslovakia. We got bulldozers, and that's him out on maneuvers in the field. So that's him wearing his winter gear. Driving a Jeep. And again, we got the M52 howitzers, and again another picture. As I say, these are not in order. That's him again on the field. Interesting picture. He's been a truck driver and mechanic. He was issued a M1 carbine, so that's his M1 carbine there. That's a 50 caliber machine gun in the back there, and there's also a bazooka there. And that's him writing up some paperwork. Back at the barracks in his summer uniform. And again, smoking a cigarette with his winter gear somewhere in northern Germany, or northern Bavaria, I should say, near the Czechoslovakian border. And you got the howitzers in the back there and the tents. And again, a M48 main battle tank. Quite smart looking howitzers. As I say, they were replaced by the M109s, which is what I remember. I don't remember these. The 109s had a 155mm gun. As I say, these are 105mm. That's the back breech area. And you got a row of the M52s there. The gun up. And again on the maneuver areas there, this one here is called Corregidor. It's quite a nice picture here. And again, you've got the back of it. You've got the shovel in the back, which they use for recoil. And we got a sequence of them firing the howitzer, so that's the view. Again, messing around with the M48. And that's one of the howitzers firing. And again, a howitzer firing. You got the soldier in the back here. You got the breech of the gun there. And then the dust being thrown up after it's fired. That's my father there in combat gear with his gas mask. One of his buddies in the howitzer there with the M250 cal. That's a nice picture of my father there with, as I say, being a truck driver, he was issued at the time a M1 carbine. Messing around on the maneuver areas there. And there he is holding a bazooka. It's hard to believe they still use bazookas in that time. And again, we got the winter shots here. That's him moving the howitzers by train to the maneuver areas. So that's him sitting there looking out of the railroad carriage. And as I say, it gets very grim in Germany in the winter time. Again, we got the howitzer here in position in the maneuver areas. And here with a dusting of snow. So anyhow, we'll come up to the end of the pile of photographs. The rest of them are all basically the same as the ones before. We got the 105 artillery shells there, which they would have fired. Again, a nice view of the 48 main battle tanks there. And sitting on the howitzer ammunition. So we've got the shells there. Again, we got the construction equipment, got a bridge here, and again at ease. Got a gasoline, no smoking within 50 feet, Benzin, Rauchen verboten, im Umkreis von 20 Meter. And that's a nice one. I do like that one. That would have been him with his truck. And as I said, he started off as a driver and became a mechanic. And he would have been driving these M35 trucks with ammunitions. And as you can see on the front, it says here explosives or Sprengstoff. So that would have been the trucks carrying the ammunitions for the guns. Anyhow, this video is getting a bit long, so I think I'll just wrap it up here. We're just coming up to the end of the photographs, and as you can see, just more pictures of my father sitting on the tanks. And again, finish up with a couple of views of the wintertime views of northern Bavaria. Anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching as always, and bye for now.